Welcome back to the channel, your one-stop destination for all things Google Cloud. I am Mustafa, and today we are exploring Gemini 2.0 Flash, Google's DeepMind cutting-edge multimodal AI model available to Vertex AI. In this session, we will dive into Gemini 2.0 Flash lightning-fast performance, advanced capabilities, how it makes tasks like text generation, code creation, and multimodal data processing a breeze. With its sub-seconds response time and high throughput, Gemini Flash allows you to generate text, process images and audio, and even interact with real-time data using Google Search, all while keeping costs low. Here is what we will cover in today's lab. We will generate various types of text and explore the flexibility in writing and executing code. We would learn how to configure the model behavior using system instruction and safety settings. We would also work with text, images, audios, and more to understand Gemini Flash. Make sure you subscribe, like, grab your notepad, and let's get started with Gemini 2.0 Flash. So as usual, we'll start our lab and we'll launch the lab with the required credits. And after doing that, we would open our lab in an incognito window. Then click and understand. So this is the Google Cloud homepage. And this is our dashboard for our project. So just agree to the terms and service, agree and continue. So let's get started into the instructions. So typically for task 1, what we are going to do is so we've signed in, which is like the setup and requirements. So for task 1, let's go to Vertex AI and then the workbench in Vertex AI. Then we'll look for this, our lab instance, and try to explore the notebook in there. So where do we have Vertex AI here? So under Vertex AI, the workbench. So you can see this is our workbench. And before I get started with this, I'll just try to refresh it. I'm just trying to reset it before I get started so that it's fine. So while I reset the instance or the workbench here, so it's resetting the instance, and when it's done, we'll get there. Yeah, so we are back, and our instance should be refreshed now. So you can just leave this, then open our Jupyter lab. Yeah, so here we are, and this is our notebook. So from the instruction, this is what we are interested in, into Gemini 2.0 Flash, and that's really where we'll do a whole lot of things in this lab. So anywhere we have project ID, we'll replace it with our project ID, and anywhere we have location, we'll replace it with our location under the first two subsections. So for task 2, which is just to set up our notebook, let me grab my project ID, then go into the notebook. So from our notebook, let's click on this notebook, which is the one we are interested in. And so for the kernel, we are using Python 3 kernel, and select it. And if the prompt does not come here, you can come through here and select the kernel. Yes, so this is what we are interested in. So like I mentioned, we replace our project ID with, so anywhere we see this and this, which just appears this 2 times here. So you can replace this thing with your project ID, and replace this other one also with your project ID. And when we come here, you can also replace this with our location for our lab. So our region is West 1. So I can replace all this with US West 1. Then after that, I can run the code here. And what I'll just do is I would attempt to run everything. Then when I get to some specific place, we can decide to do that again or separately. So let's run all cells and let's start doing it one by one. So we are done with task 2, which is to set up the notebook, and we can check our progress. Progress complete. So let's go to task 3, which is to generate text from text prompts. So we are going to explore how we can load the Gemini 2.0 Flash model and how we can also generate text from text prompts. So let's go there. So all this has been done for us before. So let's load the Gemini 2.0 Flash model. So we have the model here loaded here. So to generate text from text prompts, we use the generate content method to generate response to our prompts. And this is a sample question. What is the largest planet in our solar system? And the response is Jupiter. So we can decide to change this thing and say, what is the largest country in Africa? Let's see what that returns. And I'm just going to run this cell once again. Alright, wait for the response. Yeah, so it's telling us that the largest country in Africa is Algeria. Let's try sub-Saharan Africa. So that's DRC. What is the most populous So the most populous country in sub-Saharan Africa is Nigeria. So these are how you can generate text from prompts. Just the same way you can interact with Gemini normally through the UI version. So you can also do it with code from here. And these are also examples of some prompts that you can access. So let's try this one as the final one before we move to something else. And let's do this again. And yeah, so we are asking that what are the latest developments in the automotive industries, and of course, electric vehicles will definitely be among them. Autonomous driving, connectivity and software-defined vehicle, shared mobility and mobility as a service, and a bunch of others. So that's fine. So let's go to our generate content stream. So generate content stream is it's sort of return a response after completing the entire generation process, but you can make it return responses in chunks as they are being generated. So which is what we use the generate content stream. So because when you're using Gemini, typically it's just going to give you everything at a go. But if you want to generate content stream, you want it to return information bit by bit. So you can see, tell me a story about a lonely robot who finds real friendship in a most unexpected place. And you can see it giving the responses bit by bit. But you can also, let's try another thing. So tell me a story about let's do something creative about how Google I/O started. So let's see if Gemini has a response for us here. So you can giving stuff bit by bit. So and returning it in chunks. So it's fast, but it still sort of chunk it in the bit by bit. The year was this 2008. Google was the first, but not ubiquitous and encompassing. And he returned everything about Google I/O. So if you don't know about Google I/O, please check it out. Yeah. So the next thing we can also do is to start a multi-ton chart. Just want to see if it's among these tasks. Yeah. So it's also among the tasks. And to start a multi-ton chart. So the multi-ton chart is just something that supports like a free-form multi-turn conversation across multiple turn back and forth. So I'm telling you that write a function that checks if a year is a leap year. So it returns the response for us, and this is how this is him writing the function for us to see if the year is a leap year. But there are things you could also we could decide to use a different thing here. And let's see, add a function that checks um, if a month is 30 or 31 days. Just trying to be creative with the prompts. I am going to see. So this is also an example of sort of like a multi-tone conversation. So and he writes the code for us to see if the month is 30 or 31. So it has an examples of how you could get the month which with the one that are 30 and the one that are 31 in the month. Yeah, so that's about that. And I don't want to go over all the code, but you can check that while you are doing your own. So and also so the multi-tone part is that you can now rerun this thing. So you can see this one. This was generated for when it was a leap year, when the function above was a leap year. So if I rerun this thing again, it should generate a new thing for me, which will now be in response to him calculating the month. So he could write a unit test for this. And from the popular song in my area, which tells us that 30 days are September, April, June, and November, and we have them here. How the rest are 31. So how this were 31, except February alone, which has 28 or 29. So and that's it here. So you can see the unit test also checks for that. So that's really nice what Gemini can do for us. And of course, we can send asynchronous request. So you can, in the sense that, so a good example is this prompt that is used here: compose a song about the adventures of a time traveling squirrel, and it gives us a response for that. You can also do more with this. You can change the prompt and get various responses. You can also configure parameters in each call that you send to the model to control how the model generates a response. So this can be very useful for experiment with different models, and you can experiment with different models. So these are some parameters that you may want to set when you are interacting with Gemini to generate content for you. So example, so tell me how the internet works, but pretend I am a puppy who only understand squeaky toys. So and you are sort of setting the temperature to be 0.4, the top P 0.95, top K 20, candidate count 1, seed 5, maximum output tokens. So this sort of regulates the amount of responses that it returns. And if so, you can see when it is at 100, this is what it returns. I can just add one more zero to the back and rerun this. So these are some of the configuration parameters that you can use. And so when I change it to 1000, it could return more here, and the maximum this could be is 8,000 tokens. Yeah, so these are some of the things you could do here. Moving ahead, I'm just going to explain everything in the notebook, irrespective of how the task works. Then at the end, we'll just check if we've completed all the tasks. So we can also set system instructions. So system instructions are things that Gemini is going to consider when returning a model for us. Or yeah, like it's also going to consider it like we are giving the model additional context into what we are doing, and this really helps to get more customized responses. So a good system instruction for when you want Gemini to generate maybe a query for you is to tell it that, oh, you are a data engineer working in a financial institution. You are in charge with generating insights, wrangling data. So something like that is a nice system instruction. Then you can now have a prompt that, oh, I would like to generate an SQL query for the top 10 best customers in the month, something like that. So that's really how system instructions work. So system instructions allow you to sort of allow you to be in charge of the behavior of the model. So something like this: you are a helpful language translator. Your mission is to translate text in English to Spanish. I like bagels. So immediately you say I like bagels, it's sort of in context with the system instructions, it returns it. So you don't need to say translate I like bagels to Spanish again, because you've done the system instruction there. And you can easily add multiple prompts that is also going to be coherent with these system instructions. So I'm just going to change this thing to what is my name. So when I run this again, so you can see just translate it to Spanish. And let's do this thing to another language. Let's see if it's able to do that. Yeah, so I speak Yoruba, and what is my name? It could translate it to Yoruba for me. So Yoruba, it is called Kini Yorukomi, and that's the translation. So that's really how it also works. So we also have some safety filters that you can use to what's it called? You can use to have a filter over your responses that you get from Gemini. So the system instruction here is be as mean and hateful as possible. Write a list of 5 disrespectful things that I may say to the universe after stubbing my toe in the dark. So when I run this thing, I'm just going to run it again, and you would see that it's not going to return anything. So because we've set some safety criteria here that I'm category dangerous content, block low and above, block low and above. So that's the threshold that we are setting, and so that's the threshold that we are setting. So the kind of question that we are asking, and the kind of system instructions that we pass there are already like they are stuff that would do that. They are stuff that will sort of maybe trigger one or more of these safety settings that are there. So so response will be none if it is blocked. So it's going to tell us that it's going to return none if it has blocked something. But if it did not block anything, it's going to return the responses. But it will typically block here because we set the system instruction to be as mean and hateful as possible. So when I run it again, you can see that it's not showing anything. And these are like the severity of what the responses actually come with. So in terms of 8 category, 0.06, I'm category dangerous content, 0.05, 0.415, and that's for what is sort of generated at that time. And of course this would probably change if I run it again, it's probably going to change again. I may not come with that particular exact threshold, but it's still obviously going to block it. So this is coming with something more. The probability score, the severity score here, and the severity score here. So let's comment out this part, and let's see if it's going to return something. So we're just going to comment out the safety setting, then run it again. So you can see, okay, it could return information, but it's still telling us the probability score of what is returning, and the hate speech, the severity of everything. So okay, here are 5 disrespectful things you could tell at the universe, or you could yell at the universe after stubbing your toes. And you can see that everything there are like pretty dangerous stuff. So yeah, I'm just going to comment this out again. Yeah, and let's keep the word safe, please. So let's just run it again and see that it's going to also block it once again. So it has blocked it, and the reason is for safety. All right, so we can also do multimodal prompts with Gemini. That's one of the blessings that Gemini comes with. It could accept information in different formats: images, text, PDF, audio, videos, depending on what you're sending to it. So we are sending, this is an example of a local dish, and we are sending an image to it, and we are asking Gemini to help us. So we are using the generate content model, and we are asking it to write a short and engaging blog post based on this picture. So these are some of the things we are passing, like the media resolution to be low, and these are some of the additional stuff that you could also add in there. So while doing this, and you can see that it is able to read, the image and generate what's it called? It's able to generate a prompt for it. It's able to generate a prompt for it. So different things that you could also use. So this image is in a Google Cloud Storage bucket. It's able to load it from the Google Cloud Storage bucket, and so we downloaded the image from Google Cloud Storage bucket and we pass it to Gemini, and is able to respond for us. And this is a blog post that it returns. So another thing is you could send documents from Google Cloud Storage. So instead of downloading, you don't necessarily even need to download. But this is just for images that you have. You can upload it, and Gemini is going to respond to you. So let's say we want to access it directly from Google Cloud Storage. We don't want to download and do anything. We just want to access it directly. So you could also pass the URL here. So this is a PDF, and this PDF contains this thing here. Attention is all you need. So which is this particular article, and from here you could download it. So you could download it, and Gemini could access the information here rather, and you could also summarize it for us, and you can see that the text has been summarized. So you could do for audio, send audio from a general URL. You can also pass a audio file to it, and it could summarize the podcast for you. So these are things that you could test. You could do one for a YouTube search and do it here. So I'm going to change this YouTube search and replace it with something else, and you are going to see what's going to happen here. So I'm just going to do look like a football fan. Let me do something about Google Cloud Tech. So let me access the Google Cloud Tech platform and just pick anything interesting from there. So I'm going to choose this one. Yeah, so let's share it. Let's copy. So let's go back to our stuff here. So I'm going to rerun this again first, and you'd see what's going on here. And I can also show this YouTube video. So it's telling us that, so we are running this thing again, and let's wait for it to get done. So it's telling us that a reporter was shown between 56 seconds to 1 minute of this video. And let's see. So what I'm going to do is, let's actually copy this. So yeah, let's copy it. I'm going to sort of recopy what I copied before. So we have this here. Let's come here. Let's test it out. So it told us that around 0.56.
No, go. Ready? Here we go. Quality. Mr. Potter. I'd just like to say.
So you can see that Gemini is correct there, and that's nice. We want to avoid certain action and that request fall into the category. So it's struggling a bit, but let's ask some other question and say summarize what's going on here. Let's see if we could respond to that. And also, yeah, I have to be careful of time so that the lab doesn't expire. So you can see it's able to summarize the video. it struggles because at any point in time, maybe it was unable to locate Harry Potter there. If I could have come with Harry Potter was not involved, it could have just said that. Okay, yeah, so we are fine. So multimodal live API, and this is also useful to do some functions like console generated output. So here we are asking a question like list a few popular cookies recipe and their ingredients. So it's telling us, and we are also returning it in a JSON string. So you can either pass the response string addition or use pass field to get the original to get the response as an object or dictionary. So we could return it in any way we want, but we are we've told it to return it for us in application JSON. And this is an example. So you could generate content, returning it in the format that we want. So and so what's going to happen is that what we are doing is like a control generated output. So the past response, which is this past response, it now returns it out in just like in different formats that we want. So past is coming out in this case when we put a pass field, it's coming out in this case. You could also tell it to return it in anything you want typically. Can also define the response schema in a Python dictionary. You can only use the supported field listed below, like something that, yeah, yeah. So that's fine. Moving on to the next thing. So the response schema we have here. So we are sort of having it in this. So we have a response schema that we've put here, which is an example of how we want the response to come in. So and now we are asking it a question. Analyze the following product review. Output the sentiment classification and give an explanation. Absolutely loved it. Best ice cream I've ever had. Rating, blah blah blah. So we are asking it that it should return the format. It should return it in this format. And but this is the problem that we are doing. So you could see for the first one, it could return it in this format, which is this the format that we had here. So rating for flavor, for strawberry, everything. It could return the sentiment part, which is positive, of course. This is a positive review. Quite good, but a bit too sweet for my taste. Rating one. And for the second one, it's a negative. Um, it's a negative sentiment because she said the reviewer sort of like does a negative sentiment in the overall, which is coming out in a bit too sweet for my taste, and the rating is actually poor, so one. So that sort of influenced the responses as a negative sentiment. So moving fast under the count token, you could also count tokens. So I think Gemini sort of accept over 2 million tokens or thereabouts, and you can and that's at the go. So and you can just confirm how many tokens does Gemini accept. So yeah, looks like it's 1 million tokens. Yeah, so but I think the 2.5 would have some more. Okay, yeah, still 1 million. Yeah, that's nice. So 1 million is a whole lot at the moment. So it sort of means that you could paste the whole textbook in Gemini, and it's going to respond to you. Okay, so what is the highest mountain in Africa? It could tell us the count of the token that it uses for this. And tokens are different from word, so you don't want to be counting each word as a token. But let's just do something. What is the so you can change it. What is the name of my channel? So doing something like this, and let's see the amount of tokens I sort of use. So this is also 9. I'm just going to remove something, and let's see if it still stays at 9 or not. So this reduces to 8. So tokens are different from words, but sometimes they could be close, but they're different from words because they are not 8 words here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. So the complete token is sort of returns the amount of tokens that we have, or that prompt is using, or that the content is using. So this is also something, model computes tokens. So we are asking it that what is the longest word in English language. So it's trying to, so what we are doing here is that it's sort of trying to show the amount of tokens that year. So for me, if I count this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So let's run this again. Let's run this on top and see the amount of tokens that it returns. Just doing it exactly like they wrote it, and I'm running this. So 11, and what we counted here was 11. So this is how we sort of separated the tokens. This one, 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 this to the end. So they are the tokens, and that's about that. So let's keep going. So, and you could also do search. You could also do grounding. So whereby you can connect real world data with Gemini. So this is an example. When is the next? So when you do the Google search tool and you set this to Google search, so you can use model to generate content. So when is the next solar eclipse in the United States? It would search the web and return an information based on it, and you could see it here, sort of like a Google search. So I'm just going to change this thing to, let's say, when is the next eclipse in Nigeria, and let's see what it returns. So you could see us telling us that the next will be on March 20, 1034, and there's a Google search leading to that you can also explore. Yeah, so that's fine. Let's keep going. So for the Vertex AI search, you could also do some automatic function calling and manual function calling. So what's happening here is that so our time is fast spent. So what's happening is under automatic function calling is that we have function. So we are saying return the current weather, and when we have that, it has the location, and we also pass some location and their weather here. So when we say what is the weather like in Austin, so it is able to know that what we actually refer to is this thing that we've passed in the function for Austin. So it could automatically call this, because here we are not specifically calling this function to return the one for Austin, but because Gemini is smart enough, it could know that we are referring to Austin. But if you call something outside the function, let's see what's going to throw out. And let me say in Berlin. So Berlin is not in the function, but let's see what's going to undo in this case. Yeah, so I cannot fulfill this request as I need this city and state. But if I had something like let's do that. If I change this to Berlin BR, and I say this is sunny. So let's run this again. So I think what he was expecting, Berlin BR? It's not supported. So yeah, let me just location provide a city. Okay. Let's see. Let's try it again. Yeah, so you could see that I could return it now. What is the weather like in Berlin BR? And Berlin BR has opt. So because but that's because this is here for this one. But that's pretty much how you could explore this. So we also have some manual function calling, whereby you have like a parameter, a description already, and you now have the content. I'd like to travel to Paris. So from this one, you could get the destination here. So let's say I'd like to travel to Lagos. So let's see if he's able to get the destination. So it's able to get destination as Lagos for this thing. So and you can let's try to be creative a bit. I'd like to move home. My home is in Lagos. Let's see if it's able to get destination from this. So it's also able to get the destination here. The destination is actually Lagos, and that's because Gemini is able to read through and see what's going on. So for code execution, it could also, of course, do code execution with the code execution tools. So calculate the 20th Fibonacci number and find the nearest palindrome to it, and is able to get that particular answer. So you could also be creative. Let's change it to 31st, and find the nearest palindrome to it. So let's see if it's able to get that for us. And you can see it's able to also get that for us. So these are some of the ways you could use Gemini 2.0 Flash using the Gemini API, and some of the interesting things you could do on them. So, and I really hope this is clear to everybody, and we can do more with the Gemini API on Vertex AI in our code. So that will be all for now. Thank you very much for staying through till the end of this live. Don't forget to like, share, and comment your thoughts in the comment section about the next interesting thing you want us to work on. And see you in the next lab. Bye for now.